I have the right to defend myself, don't I? And I feel like I do. I only say that because a lot of people have come at me on X and on other social media platforms, Instagram and X, about me and my beef with full-time officiating and the officials right now. We're going to get into that because I have the right to defend myself. And this week's conference championship games did not help your guys' case. And we're going to discuss that. You're going to say, yes, it did. No, it didn't. And we're going to talk about it, not only in the AFC game, but in the NFC game as well. So we're going to discuss things. I have the right to defend myself. No, I'm not calling out fans. I'm not calling out anybody, but we're going to play a little bit of devil's advocate. We're also going to defend my case and rest my case on why we need full-time officials. We're going to recap the conference championship Sunday because it was a jam-packed conference championship Sunday. Let me tell you, two teams are now in Super Bowl 59, and we are on the way to New Orleans. We cover that game next week, not this one, but the next Thursday's episode. We're also going to discuss the coaching cycle and the latest coaching hires and what's going on there. We're going to discuss the surroundings and the latest news around Matthew Stafford. We're going to talk about the Pro Bowl format and why I think that we need to go back to the old school format and why we're not covering it. And we're going to discuss all that and more on this episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Guys and ladies and gents, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris. And whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. You can also listen on Amazon as well. X and Instagram at pigskin_frenzy. Follow like the pages there. I'm going to give you my thoughts and highlights and news across college and NFL football. There's also trivia questions on my Instagram story. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. You will find a Home About Me page, contact info down below. You're going to learn more about me as your podcast host. You can contact me, name, email info. I'll answer it all on air or off air if need be. There's also stores and affiliations pages and platforms pages, all that on the website as we continue to regularly update the website. It's coming soon on Pigskin Frenzy with store and affiliations with the platforms page, all the platforms I just mentioned. Go and click on that page to click on what's your favorite listening style. Follow, subscribe, like, comment down on the website, on all the socials, and all platforms for Pigskin Frenzy. More on that site, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com for more in the future. Guys, NFL Day today. We're ready to rock and roll. It was a jam-packed weekend, wasn't it? It was hype, and I was getting a little bit hyper too covering these ball games. I'm so excited about everything going on for Super Bowl, and history will be made one way or the other. And I said that on X. If you don't follow me on X, you should follow me on X. It's an active community on there for the Pigskin Frenzy and the Frenziers, as I like to call you. You're probably going to think, don't ever call us that again. But yes, we are. It is a frenzy. Football is a frenzy, and it's a love story. It really is. Football is a love story. I can get into that in a couple of weeks, but it really is. And I am so excited about, just covering these games and just actively engaging with all of you. So keep on plugging in on X and Instagram. 400 and counting listeners, about to be at 4,500. A big thank you and shout out to every listener who listens on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And without the Lord Jesus, we wouldn't be doing this. And he gives us this platform. So all praise to be to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, my Lord and Savior. He is so, so good for delivering us this platform and just to be doing this and to just talk about football and do it for fun and, live off of it, right? So I love doing this. I'm excited and I'm ready to rock and roll here on this show. Guys, let's talk about these championship this championship round and this recap conference championship, and we're going to kick it off with the first game that just started. NFC Championship. By the way, 0 for 2 in my picks. Not my best picks. Last year I got it right, but I'll tell you what, this one right here was this is a doozy right here. I got it completely wrong this go round. Let's go with the NFC Championship. Eagles and Commanders. I picked the Commanders to win this game. I thought that out of blind hope, I guess, that Jaden Daniels could have done something and made an impact in this ball game, but I was dead wrong. And the Eagles proved to be a better team for the full 60 minutes. The whole game, they proved that they were the better football team. And the Commanders were good, they just weren't ready yet. Final score of this game was 55-23. Eagles 55, Commanders 23. This was the most points scored in a conference championship game. On both sides, AFC and NFC. This is the most it's been scored in a game, in a conference championship game, on both conferences, AFC and NFC. 55-23, Eagles defeat the Commanders, and they are off to their second Super Bowl in 3 seasons. That is insane. The matchup, and one of the teams that no one wanted to really see in there, which was kind of shocking because I wouldn't mind seeing the Eagles in there again because they have been consistently good. They have their roster is good. Howie Roseman is a top 3 GM in the National Football League. He does a heck of a job, and the Eagles are a team that is consistently in it, and all credit goes to Howie Roseman. All credit goes to Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio and the roster that is being built there for the Philadelphia Eagles to succeed, and they have done a heck of a job building this team. They went to the NFC Championship 2 seasons ago, then went to Super Bowl 57 and lost to the Chiefs in Arizona. They took a break from everything in the NFC wildcard round last year by getting beat by the Buccaneers. They did not go to the NFC Championship or to Super Bowl 58. And then Super Bowl 59, they have won the NFC Championship again, and they are off to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59 in a huge showdown. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. The Eagles went off. And by Eagles, I mean the number one weapon on their team, Saquon Barkley. He is a freaking machine, okay? And I've said that. Joe Sheen and the Giants have to be seething right now, literally. And we're going to get to that here in a little bit because I'm not trying to be unhinged on this episode, but we have to discuss everything with this, okay? We have to talk about this because it's pretty, it's a pretty big point in everything right now. So let's talk about it and let's discuss it. The stats on this game were insane. Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 246 yards, a touchdown. He also had 20 for 28. Jalen Hurts was a madman in this ball game. 16 yards, 3 total rushing touchdowns, and 10 carries. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 touchdown through the air, 246 yards, 20 for 28 with 16 yards on the ground. Saquon Barkley, 15 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Will Shipley, the Clemson rookie running back, got his due in this one as well. 77 yards, 4 carries, and a big touchdown there. Dallas Goedert, 13 yards rushing. If you want to look at A.J. Brown, 96 yards, 6 receptions, 1 touchdown. Dallas Goedert, 85 yards, 7 receptions. Devontae Smith, 45 yards, 4 receptions. Kenneth Gainwell, 16 yards, 2 receptions. The defense was all over this Commanders offense. Zach Bond was the leading man, 12 total tackles. Reed Blankenship, 7 total tackles. Burks had 9 total tackles and a sack. Cooper DeJean had 6 total tackles. Hunt had 4 total tackles. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had 5 total tackles. Darius Slay had 3 total tackles as well. Mitchell had 4 total tackles and an interception. And, the Eagles defense was just all over this offense. If you want to look at the total stats in this ball game, the only thing the Commanders beat them in was passing, but other than that, it was domination on all parts. 459 total yards compared to the Commanders' 350. If you want to look at the passing, Commanders had 251 compared to the Eagles' 230. If you want to look at rushing, 229 compared to the Commanders' 99. And then 7 yards per play compared to the Commanders' 4.5 yards per play. Positive circle moments for this Eagles football team. Saquon Barkley, obviously, with 3 touchdowns on the ground, 118 yards. Jalen Hurts in the passing game was lethal in this game. The Eagles' passing game was a positive circle moment. I've said if you had a balanced passing attack, you can obviously, they're one of the best teams in the National Football League. I said that 2 months ago. And guess what? They have been. And then it happened, and they were the best team on Sunday, hands down. Out of the Bills, Chiefs, and Commanders, they were the best team on Sunday. Balanced passing attack. A.J. Brown caught some. Dallas Goedert caught some. You have weapons like Devontae Smith. You have Saquon Barkley who can catch footballs as a running back. You have weapons that you can throw the ball to. If you have that balanced attack passing to set up the run with Saquon Barkley, this offense is going to be hard to stop, and the Eagles can destroy you at will. And I think that if you do that with that balanced passing attack to set up the run, who's going to beat the Eagles? And I thought that the Lions were that team, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe the Eagles have been the best team in the NFC this whole time. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the Eagles were better than the Lions this year, and I was wrong. I don't know. Maybe I was right. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? It would have been a thing to see that Lions-Eagles game. It would have been really, really interesting to see that game, for us to see who was right on that, but who knows? It doesn't matter. The Eagles are in the Super Bowl. Eagles dominated this game on all aspects of the game. Positive circle moment, passing game, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. This offense was dynamic. Positive was also the defense. They looked physical on defense. They looked physical on the line of scrimmage. Zach Bond was a huge positive circle moment for this team. He is filling up some gaps that, unfortunately, Nakobe Dean is out, so he's picking up a lot of the load at the linebacker spot, too. So Saquon, blending in with the offense of Saquon Barkley is Zach Bond in this defense, along with the secondary with Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship picking up a lot of the load in the secondary as well. Vic Fangio's doing a heck of a job as their defensive coordinator. Heck of a job rebuilding this defense, making this secondary look strong again. Because last year, it was a total nightmare. Now, this year, it's, night and day how much the improvement has been on this Eagles team. So just huge congratulations on winning this game and making the Super Bowl. Let's talk about some more positive circle moments really quick before we go to the Commanders. 5 for 10 on third down, half, 50%, not bad. Not great, but not bad. But you did good on third down conversions, 100% on fourth down conversions. They only allow 2 sacks. They have to, good on protecting Jalen Hurts. 5 penalties for 30 yards. They got to get that cleaned up, especially in this game against Super Bowl 59. And they had to get that cleaned up. 5 penalties, 30 yards. They have to get going on that and get, be a little bit more disciplined. But other than that, there was really not much of negative circle moments they could say. Really, you could really say. I think that they looked really, really good. They scored at will, and they were dominant on defense, and they got everything done. Offense, special teams, and defense. It was a complete game for the Eagles, and they were ready and hungry to go to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Let's see what happens. I'm curious. History can be made. Saquon Barkley's birthday and Cooper DeJean's birthdays are on Super Bowl 59, February 9th in New Orleans, and what better way to spend your birthday by playing for a world championship in football? What better way, right? And I'm curious to see what happens. I said about Saquon Barkley, because he is a menace, and let me talk about Saquon for a minute. He has been the best running back in this league. He's an MVP finalist as well. He's been the best running back in the National Football League, hands down. This season, he's been better than Henry and Jacobs have been up there. Don't get me wrong; they've both been doing well. But Saquon Barkley's number one. He has done probably what a lot of people have not done in the past 20-plus years. He's gotten 2,000 yards. Derrick Henry has also gotten 2,000 yards in 2020. Don't get me wrong; he's done that. But he's gotten more yards than Derrick Henry, and he's eclipsing records that we haven't seen since Eric Dickerson. That was even before my time. Saquon Barkley is a menace, and it's his first year in Philadelphia, his first year with a completely different team. I said that with the Giants, Joe Sheen, everybody in the Giants have made a huge mistake letting him walk, and they have, hands down. Everybody can agree with me on that. There's no dispute. Giants fans on Instagram, I know that y'all follow me and y'all listen to me. Y'all have to listen to me on this. The Giants made a mistake letting Saquon go. There's no ifs, there's no buts, there's nothing about it. There's no argument on that. Yeah, sure, we needed more than Saquon. Yeah, you did. But guess what? Saquon could have helped you out if you would have put the tools necessary to build around him, and the Giants have not done that. This is not a call out on the Giants. I'm just being honest. It's just the truth. A lot of people have been telling me, yeah, but what if with the Giants? They weren't going to do anything with Saquon because they didn't build around him like the Eagles had the tools. The Eagles had the tools built around a running back like Saquon. Super Bowl 57 did not work out in the favor of the Eagles. It did not. Can it work out this go around? Maybe. Why? Because Saquon Barkley is the difference maker. He is a weapon. No one has been able to stop him. No one. And I'm curious to see what happens in New Orleans going up against history, right? So I'm curious to see what happens with Saquon. I'm curious to see what happens with the Eagles in New Orleans. They're off to the championship. 55-23 was the final score. The Eagles are playing in Super Bowl 59 on February 9th. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday night on Fox. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Super Bowl 59. The Eagles are back in it. Let's talk about the Commanders because I am interested in the Commanders. The Commanders, what a season they have had and what a turnaround they have had. This may have been the best rookie season we've seen out of a quarterback in quite some time, and it was Jaden Daniels. Oh, my goodness. He has been a good quarterback this season. He has been an elite quarterback, to say the least. This Commanders team has done a lot. The Commanders team is young, and I think they will build off of this loss, and they will only get better. Hands down, they will only get better. Let's talk about them really quick before we move on to this AFC Championship game and move on to me defending myself, because we need to talk about that with officiating, right? Jaden Daniels, 255 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception, 29 for 48. Not the best numbers. Don't get me wrong. Not the best numbers, but good enough, right? Jaden Daniels, 48 yards, touchdown, 6 carries. He had 8 yards on the ground per rush. That's insane. Brian Robinson, 36 yards, 11 carries. Just couldn't do much at the end. 104 yards, 11 receptions. Terry McLaurin, a touchdown, 51 yards, 3 receptions. Diami Brown, 42 yards, 3 receptions. Zacchaeus, 25 yards, 4 receptions. And let's talk about Jeremy Chinn. Jeremy Chinn, 7 total tackles. Bobby Wagner, 9 total tackles. Mikey Standstill, 5 total tackles. Allen had 5 total tackles. Marshawn Lattimore had 3 total tackles. Martin had 4 total tackles. This Commanders team's not bad. They didn't play bad on defense, but they just got outmatched at the very end. They didn't play bad at defense on first. They made some good tackles. They were physical and tough. But I think that what was misunderstood was the Eagles were just better, right? I think they just got outmatched because of the talent all around by the Eagles. They had the better talent, and they were the more talented football team. I picked the Commanders to win this game because I thought that Jaden Daniels and being dynamic in the passing game was going to outmatch what the Eagles were doing. And the balanced passing attack, I didn't see it from the Eagles until this game, and they shut me up really quick. That's okay. It happens. 7 for 17, positive circle moment for the Commanders. If you want to look at rushing, 99 rushing yards, that's a negative. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But overall, 7 for 17, 4 for 6 on 4th down. Those are some positive circle moments for this team. They played with some heart, and they tried. And they went out there to try to battle, and they lost. They got hit in the face repeatedly. But the Commanders, they tried and they went out there, right? So I don't fault them for that. Round of applause for what they did. I think those are the positive circle moments for this team. Let's talk about the negatives, because I think this game could have been a little bit closer, a tiny bit closer, if these things wouldn't have happened and added up. Number 1, penalties. 9 penalties for 47 yards, 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers and 3 sacks allowed. I think that the 3 sacks allowed caught up to him. I think the 4 turnovers got to him. The 3 fumbles and 1 interception, and the 9 penalties for 47 yards got to him at the end as well. The penalties, though, however, a lot of it wasn't just on the Commanders. It was on the Eagles, and the Eagles got away with some calls, and we'll talk about officiating here in a little bit after this AFC Championship contest. But the game got away with them through those things, and 3 turnovers. 4 turnovers, 3 fumbles, 1 interception. Those are game killers, not just drive killers. Those are game killers, because when they add up, there's no way you're coming back from it. Usually it is rare rare. With 4 to 5, maybe even 6 turnovers is a rarity to come back from that. Usually, most of the time, when you have a high number of turnovers, you lose the ball game. And I think that's what happened with the Commanders. They kept fumbling. They kept turning the ball over and giving it to the Eagles, and the Eagles kept capitalizing on that. There's too much talent. They got outmatched. The turnovers got them, and just too much talent in the end. Now, what does this mean for the Commanders? They have a bright, young future with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is his rookie year going to the NFC Championship. Now, think about what's going to happen when he's entering his second season, his third year, his fourth season, how much he will develop as a pro-level and minded quarterback in the National Football League and in the NFC, and think about what will happen and what could happen. This man can put up an MVP type season. This man can give you a Super Bowl if you just build some more and add some more depth around in this roster. If you build some more depth with this roster, the Commanders will be a Super Bowl champion one day, no doubt, under Jaden Daniels. I wholeheartedly believe that. Cliff Kingsbury is coming back. He has withdrawn his name from the coaching searches. Dan Quinn is going to be back. Obviously, you just got to build around that roster with free agency and the draft, and build around Jaden Daniels during the offseason even more, and build some depth, and the Commanders will be back in it in no time, and could be in the 2025 season. So I would watch out for Washington coming up in 2025. This team's young, the future's bright, and I'm ready to see what they do with the Commanders. Final score 55-23. The Eagles are on their way to the Super Bowl. Congratulations to both teams to making it to the NFC Championship. Let's see what the Commanders do during the offseason. Let's see if the Eagles can, stomp and halt history and become Super Bowl 59 champions in New Orleans. That's the NFC Championship recap. Let's talk about the AFC Championship recap. And let's talk about the Bills and Chiefs. What a game that was. I don't know, Jim. With Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on the call for that one. And I said it on X. There's really nothing like it. Arrowhead, the atmosphere is set. I mean, AFC Championship game, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes for the atmosphere's there. CBS, night game, prime time. Jim Nantz on the call. Tony, this is going to be a good game. And then you got Tony Romo on the side going, Jim, I don't know. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, all that stuff. And you know you're going to get a show. You know you're going to get a game. And you know that you're going to get controversial calls, because it's happened for the past 3 seasons in the past 4 years with the Kansas City Chiefs. And don't shake your head no, because it always happens. There's always controversy with the fans and with officiating, with everything with the Kansas City Chiefs game. This was a close game, back and forth. I picked the Bills to win this game. Joel Norris, never doubt the Kansas City Chiefs. Final score of this game was the Chiefs, 32 Chiefs, 29 Bills. Chiefs 32, 29 Bills. The Chiefs are going to Super Bowl 59, and they are trying to play the Eagles to try to get history and do something that no one's ever done before, and that is three-peat in a Super Bowl. Tom Brady has never done it, and no one has ever done it, but Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs could be on the verge of doing something that's not been done ever. Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback to reach 5 Super Bowls. He's made it to 5 Super Bowls in his career so far before reaching 30 years old. That is a stat and a feat that is quite insane. That is insane. 5 Super Bowls under the age of 30 years old. He's not even 30 years old. He's got a long career left ahead. So could he be the greatest of all time, but the season's over? We're going to pump the brakes on that. I'm not here to talk about that yet. We can talk about that next week, but that is crazy. That's a stat right there. If you want to talk about the Chiefs in this game, we're going to talk about the stats. We're going to talk about the calls, because this was quite controversial. I have opinions and I have thoughts. And I'm just going to forewarn you guys. If Chiefs fans out there listening, you're not going to like what I have to say. I'm just going to say it. You're not going to like what I have to say. You're going to be like, oh, shocker. Everyone's hating on us. You hate us because you ain't us. Understandable. I'm going to defend you guys, but I'm also going to tell you something that you're not going to like to hear. I'm going to tell people that the media probably doesn't like to hear either. So just either A, cover your ears, or you're going to have to digest the truth and listen up. So let's talk about the game really quick before we move on. Excuse me. Chiefs 32, Bills 29. Let's talk about the game. Patrick Mahomes, a touchdown, 245 yards, 18 for 26. Patrick Mahomes also had 43 yards on the ground, 11 carries, and 2+ rushing touchdowns on the ground. He showed that he can run in this game and use his legs as well. Kareem Hunt, a touchdown, 64 yards, 17 carries. Xavier Worthy, 16 rushing yards, 2 carries. Isaiah Pacheco, 12 yards, 5 carries. Xavier Worthy, 85 yards, a touchdown. He had a game in this ball game, 6 receptions as well. Juju Smith-Schuster, 60 yards, 2 carries. Brown, 35 yards, 3 receptions. Travis Kelce, 19 yards, 2 receptions. Samaje Perine, 17-yard reception. Pacheco, 12 yards, 2 receptions. Hopkins, an 11-yard reception as well. So Connor had 9 total tackles. Bolton had 6 total tackles. Reed had 5 total tackles. Drew Tranquil had 9 total tackles. Pennell had 4 total tackles. Hicks had 4 total tackles. McDuffie had 4 total tackles. Cook had 3 total tackles. This game can go on and on and on. Karlaftis had 4 total tackles. Dana had a sack. I mean, the defense played really, really well. The Chiefs' defense in this game came down to whose defense played better, and the Chiefs' defense played better than the Bills by a mile. And I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. Let's talk about the total yards. And you're going to sit there and think, how do the Chiefs keep getting away with this? The Chiefs, again, got outstatted. So if you want to go by paper, the Bills beat the Chiefs again. But they find a way to win games. It's literally like Thanos. I swear. They find a way to win it. 374 total yards compared to the Chiefs' 368. I'm sorry. My bad. They outgained them in passing. In passing yards and in yards per play, they outgained them in those 2 stats. But majority of the stats, the Bills beat them. 374 total yards compared to their 368. Passing, 227. Chiefs had 233 passing. Rushing, Bills had 147. Chiefs had 135. Yards per play, 5.8 compared to the Bills, 5.5. So very close on yards per play. Third down efficiency, 5 for 9. 100% on fourth down for 1 for 1. They only had 2 sacks, 5 penalties for 21 yards, and then 1 turnover in the game. So the Chiefs' defense was physical, and Mahomes found a way to get everything done. Mahomes was a key positive circle moment in this game. When the playoffs are on the line, who's better than Patrick Mahomes? Nobody. There's nobody. He is the best quarterback on God's green earth. He is the best quarterback in the world, hands down. I mean, reached 5 Super Bowls in the span of being under 30 years old is insane. I mean, he is the best quarterback in the NFL. And he's going to be widely going to be regarded as one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game by the time his career is over. And he could be eclipse the GOAT, right? So that's a whole other conversation, but he is one of the best. And he is the best right now in the NFL. Hands down, nobody better. They built around him, and he is a championship quarterback. What they have done, the Chiefs have done something quite remarkable, and they are the team to beat. People are mad at this game and thinking that the Chiefs are, look, they're not, oh, this happened. Now, people are mad about the Chiefs winning a lot. Here's what I got to say. Step up and beat them. You have to step up and beat them. That's the only way to do it. I'm going to get to what you're going to say, though. I'm going to get to it because I agree. I agree. I agree. Because it's a league problem, too. It's not just a Chiefs problem. It's a league problem as well. I'm going to get to it, though. The Chiefs are the best team. Somebody's got to step up and beat them. Hands down. I totally, wholeheartedly believe that. Somebody has to stop them. No one can stop them at this moment. They are the best team in the league right now because they have proved that. At the end of the day, and they've made me eat my crow on a lot. And after this game, they've made me eat my crow as well. The Chiefs have. Somebody's got to stop them and beat them. It may not be this season, but maybe next season or whenever, someone's got to unseat them. And until somebody unseats them, they are the best team. So someone's got to step up and beat them. If you're mad about it, beat them. That's all you got to say. Chiefs are the best team. We're going to get to the calls because the calls were questionable. And I do believe that the Chiefs get a lot of favorable calls. So we're going to play devil's advocate here in a little bit. I'm going to defend myself after this conference championship recap. The Chiefs are going back to make history. They are on the verge of making history. They wanted 3. They said on the Super Bowl 58 post-game celebration as they hoisted up back-to-back Super Bowl trophies. Nah, we want 3. We want a 3-peat. We want to make history. We want to do something that no one's ever done before. Let's go for a 3-peat. And you know what? I agree with that. Go for it. Try history. Try to make history. And they are 1 win away now from trying to do that. They play the Eagles, and the Eagles are a tough team, a team that they played 2 years ago, and the Eagles were beating them 24-14 at half until the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes made a miraculous comeback, and the Eagles blew it, and the Chiefs beat them in the second half in Arizona. The Eagles did not have a secret weapon in Saquon Barkley. The Chiefs defense have not allowed in this whole playoffs a 100-plus yard rusher. And in every game that the Eagles have played, all 3, Saquon has rushed for over 100 yards. He rushed for dang near 200 against the Packers and and against the Rams. So he's a madman. So something's got to give. Something's got to give. Is the Chiefs defense good enough to stop Saquon Barkley? That's something that we're going to have to talk about next week. Because the Super Bowl is next Sunday, not this Sunday. We will preview and predict the Super Bowl matchup next Thursday's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. But that's a question that you got to ask yourself. Are they good enough to stop Saquon? That's the weapon that the Eagles have going into this matchup. It's different than the 2 years ago. There's a huge difference in the past 2 seasons. A huge night and day difference. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see. But it's one of those things that makes you question a lot. But Super Bowl 59, Chiefs, Eagles, February 9th on Fox. We're going to get to that next Sunday. Final score of this game was 32-29. The Chiefs are making history. They win another AFC Championship, and they are on the verge of making history. 3-peating, doing something that no one team has ever done. The dynasty is continuing, and it could be on the verge of being a historic dynasty and a huge run that no one has ever seen in the NFL. Let's talk about the Bills. Everyone is thinking, when will they get over the hump? And that was my question. Can they get over the hump? I thought that they could. I thought this season was going to be one of the best times to do it. You're going to think they're on a run of trying to go for a 3-peat. You think Josh Allen's going to stop that? Probably. I mean, obviously he didn't. But the way Josh Allen was playing and the way the Bills have been playing, you would have thought, yeah. The hump remains to be seen. He is 0-4 in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes. You're thinking, when will it be his turn? When will it be his turn? Can he do it? I think eventually he can. I think that they get caught up in the moment. Here's my deal. Here is my thing. I think somebody is going to have to help the Bills beat the Chiefs. That's one. And I think the Bills are going to have to win the number 1 seed. I think the Bills are going to have a first-round bye and get home field advantage for the entire playoffs. I think they got to be number 1 seed in the playoffs or bust. I think if the Chiefs play them again in the playoffs, they got to go to them. Now, did it matter in last year's playoffs? The Chiefs went to the Bills to play them. The Chiefs beat the Bills in Orchard Park. So it didn't matter, no. But I think that if you get some more depth around that team and have a weapon that in a season that, look, you cannot deny the Bills this season. If we have that mentality, then they could probably get over the hump. But I don't know. That's something that everyone's going to have to talk about later on. But they did not get over the hump this go-round. Josh Allen and the offense played well. The defense was non-existent. It was compared to the Chiefs, night and day. The Chiefs defense was ready. The Bills defense was not ready. The Bills defense had trouble all game. We're going to talk about the calls because a lot of the calls were not good in this game. Let's talk about Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns, 237 yards, 22 for 34. He also had 39 yards, 11 carries. James Cook, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13 carries. It was an amazing effort touchdown that he presented in this ball game. It was awesome. That leaping touchdown when he leaped and then, put the ball over the plane. Great touchdown there by James Cook. Johnson, 19 yards, 6 carries. Ray Davis, 4 yards, 2 carries. Mac Hollins, 73 yards, a touchdown, 3 receptions, 24.3 yards per reception. Let me want to tell you something about Mac Hollins, dude. Mac Hollins has turned into a wrecking force for this Bills offense. And I believe that Hollins is going to be a really, really good playmaker for this receiving core in 2025 and beyond. Watch out for Hollins. He had a breakout year this year for this Bills team. Josh Allen's going to use him a lot next year under Joe Brady's offense now that Joe Brady is staying with the Buffalo Bills. So Cook also had 49 yards, 3 receptions. Shakir, 46 yards, 6 receptions. Cooper had 33 yards, 4 receptions. Dalton Kincaid, 13 yards, 2 receptions. Coleman had 12-yard reception, and Curtis Samuel had a 4-yard touchdown reception as well. Bishop, 10 total tackles. Melanio had 9 total tackles and a sack. Douglas had 7 total tackles. Bernard had 6 total tackles. You're thinking, dude, these sound like great tackles, and the Bills defense played good. They're good tackles, and their open field tackling was good, but I will say in a lot of areas, they did not play good on defense. Now, some tackling was good. Matt Milano had a really, really good game. Some individual players had a good game, but collectively as a team, the Bills defense was not there. They did not help out this offense at all for the Bills, and Mahomes and this Chiefs offense was inevitable against this defense. 5 for 14 positive circle moment on third down efficiency for the Bills offense. 4 for 6 on fourth down efficiency. Not great, but not bad either. They did I would say they did quite well on fourth down efficiency. 6 penalties for 48 yards. 2 sacks allowed are negatives. No turnovers is a positive. So there's some positives there. Some positives with Josh Allen. He played with a lot of heart. He made a lot of good decisions, and he played like he was being Superman. Now, some positives were third down efficiency. Running the ball was well. They ran the ball well, so that was a positive circle moment. And no turnovers was really, really good, and they controlled the ball really, really well, but it didn't matter because the Chiefs were inevitable. I think some negatives for this team was, one, you needed to use James Cook more. I think if you would have leaned on James Cook more, because the Chiefs defense was having trouble stopping James Cook, so you lean on James Cook. That's one. 2, the defense had to play a lot better than they did. I think those are the 2 negative circle moments for this Bills team, and they had to do a lot better. And then key drops. I think key drops in this ball game were crucial. I mean, Dalton Kincaid could have caught that big fourth down conversion. They really could have to try to tie the game up and could have even won the game. Dalton Kincaid dropped it. I think that I'm not blaming Dalton Kincaid, but he could have called it. Just like Mark Andrews, he could have called it as well. But I think the team overall could have played a lot better in crunch time. They could have done a lot better on defense, and I think that they should have utilized James Cook a lot more because the Chiefs could not stop James Cook that game. Those are the negative circle moments for me for the Bills. The Bills are going to win a Super Bowl one day. It's just not going to be this year, obviously. We're just going to have to see when that is for the Buffalo Bills. I believe in Josh Allen. I believe that Josh Allen will win a Super Bowl with the Bills or without a Bills in his career. I think Josh Allen will have a Super Bowl championship. I think he will have a Lombardi trophy and a ring in his future and his possession. I just think it, and I believe it. So that's just how I view things. Now, the calls on the field, penalty-wise, were bad against the Bills. They were. There were some calls there for the Bills that they were clear-cut penalties. There were some calls on the field that the refs got wrong in favor of the Chiefs, and we're going to discuss that here in a little bit. Final score 32-29. Chiefs defeat the Bills 32-29. They win the AFC Championship. Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl 59 for all the marbles. We're going to discuss that next week. We're going to recap the Eagles season and how they got there. We're going to recap the Chiefs season and how they got there, on the verge of three-peating, making history for both teams in Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. I'm so excited about covering my second Super Bowl. I'm so excited about this. We're getting ready to rock and roll next week, recapping both teams' seasons. We're going to recap the game and preview and predict the game and talk about the game and break down the game next Thursday on Pigskin Frenzy. That was my Championship Sunday recap and my breakdown of the games. Let's discuss what I think about the officiating, though, and how I can defend myself. I posted on there that we need full-time officials. We need full-time officials. I said that last week. I've gotten a lot of clap back on that from a lot of people on Instagram and on messages. From last week's episode, I said last week we need full-time officials. I posted a reel on it on X and Instagram. A lot of people have said, you are insane. You don't know what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. What's your background in football? Well, I've been in the sports media for 5 years. Thank you for asking. I've been doing this for quite a bit. Now, let me tell you something on this. And I think you guys know where I'm coming from and know where I'm right. I think that we need full-time officials because it will make the game safer. I'm going to tell you that in a minute. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. We have had part-time officials and kind of replacement officials, especially in the National Football League, since 2012, maybe even 2013, around those years. I think it was 2011 to 2013 is when a part-time replacement official started coming in, and we've had them ever since. Officiating has been bad then, but now it's gotten worse and worse and worse and worse as the seasons have gone on. It's reached a breaking point in my end. We need full-time officials again, in my opinion. We have enough money. I've said that last week. I think we need to have full-time officials after this season starting February 10th in league year time. I think that we need that. I think that y'all have all told me to cry about it. Y'all have told me to, cry about it. The Chiefs won, yada, yada, yada. It's nothing to do against the Chiefs. I think that the Chiefs' run is historic. I think that they are not. There's nothing really cheating about the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think it's rigged. I don't think it's cheating. I think that they're winning games and they're inevitable. They're like Thanos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I am inevitable. Snap. Fingers. Infinity Gauntlet. They are inevitable. But here's my deal. You can't tell me that a lot of the calls didn't go their way. Don't care what the Chiefs fans say on this, because you know I'm right. And I'm not trying to be rude, but you know I'm right. It did go y'all's way. Josh Allen got the first down. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. It's going to pain you guys to hear that, but it's the truth. Body and ball was over the line. You're going to say, now here's the difference. Oh, ball, you couldn't tell about the ball. The body was wrapped around his chest. His whole body was on the line with the ball wrapped around his chest. First down. So a line judge, one side of the judge, one line judge says, yes, he got it. One line judge spots the ball back, and it's a fourth down. And then they review it, and they called it, when he was clearly over the line for a first down, they call it fourth down Chiefs. Or fourth down, turnover on downs, ball for the Chiefs. And then the Chiefs score. Come on. I mean, that's a little sus, right? So, and it is a suspect. Now, the Xavier Worthy thing, that's indisputable. Did he drop it? Yeah. But it was too indisputable to overturn. So I get that call, but there was a lot of calls where the Chiefs had holding, they had face mask, they have had a neutral zone, and no one calls it on the Chiefs, but we're going to call it on the Bills. When the Bills, yes, they did get it. They did. I will admit, they got the calls right on the Bills, besides the first down. But there were calls where they called on the Bills where it was a hold, but it wasn't even holding. It was a clean block. There have been clean plays that the Bills made this past Sunday where they got flagged for. There have been clean plays where the Chiefs have made, illegal plays where the Chiefs have made that they didn't get flagged for, and they should have. I'm not crying. You're going to say, oh, cry about it. I'm not crying. I'm not crying because it's the truth. The Chiefs get favored in a lot of games. We need full-time officials to stop everything. I don't care about sports books. I don't care what history says. I don't care about 3P, all this stuff. Plug your ears if this hurts, if this is going to hurt the Chiefs Kingdom's hearts and feelings. We need full-time officials to make the game fair, and we need it to be fair. You're going to say, cry about it. They won. I'm not saying that. I praise the Chiefs. I think that what they're doing is historic. They're not cheating. I'm not saying all that. I'm saying we need to make the game and the officiating fair because a lot of the calls went your way, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be a balanced game where if the Bills lose, you guys beat them without the help of calls going your way that were clearly calls that were crap. All right, and I hate to say that word, but it was crap. Those words are those calls were horrible. So not only that, let's go to the NFC Championship game. I'm Marshawn Lattimore, right? I'm getting called for a physical altercation with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, and it's an equal thing. Marshawn Lattimore should have gotten penalized for it. But I'm going to rip someone's helmet off and face mask off and helmet, and I'm not going to get called for it? A.J. Brown should have been flagged for that, for that call, right? It should have been both unnecessary and unsportsmanlike conduct on both players, on Lattimore and Brown, but it was only on the Commanders. The Eagles didn't get called for it. The Eagles got missed calls for holding. They've got missed calls for face mask. The late hit was questionable, but it was a late hit because Saquon was out of bounds, and Mikey Stanstrill that call was right. But a lot of unnecessary roughness calls, a lot of penalties, a lot of holds. We're going the Commanders' way, and the Eagles did those things. And they didn't get called for. Now, did the Commanders inflict penalties? Yes, they did. Now, did they do calls that the refs accused them of on a line? No. There was some calls that the refs said, okay, that's a false start. That was an offsides on the Eagles. They wasn't a false start on the Commanders. Giving you some examples. The Commanders were making clean plays and they got penalized for it. Eagles had done some kind of dirty plays, and they didn't get penalized for it. We need full-time officials. I don't know if it's a gambling thing, if it's a thing where, okay, we got money on this. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But the problem is we need full-time officials in this game. We need it to be safe. We need it to be fun. We need it to be fair for the outcome of games. That's number one. But number two, for the safety of players. I cannot stress that enough, that we need fair officiating and full-time officiating who know the rules of the game for the safety of the football players. People can get hurt out there and get hit in the head, and you do not call it when it was an illegal hit. You're not going to call it because you're not calling it. I don't know if you don't know the rules, or if you're not doing your job. I don't know what's going on. If you're thinking about having something at Denny's, I don't know. And I'm not trying to be rude, but here's the truth. We need full-time officials, man. We need full-time officials for player safety. We need it for outcomes of games and fair outcomes of games, so none of this stuff and no controversy can come out of the games. We need to have clear-cut winners, and we need to have no controversy and no hate coming off of those winners. I'm not hating on the Chiefs and the Eagles winning their ball games, because they won it. They did. They're making history. But here's the deal. We need full-time officials because the officiating was horrible yet again in the National Football League. I'm pleading with the NFL. Roger Goodell, commissioner of the NFL, I'm pleading with the NFL also. Do something about this. We need full-time officials for fair outcomes. You're talking about changing rules, right? Then change the rules and implement full-time officials to make the game a little bit more safer. That's all I'm saying. And make the outcomes fair with less controversy. Then there's no disputing on who wins and who loses games and what calls go whose way. That's my deal. If you want to clap back at me on that, you can, but I'm defending myself on that. My stance stands. I will apologize if I offend everybody and offend anybody else, even though I'm not saying anything wrong. I believe what I believe in. We need full-time officials in this league. I believe that we need fair outcomes, less controversy in games, that if you want to win, you decide it on the field with amazing plays instead of calls going your way. That's all. And ladies and gentlemen, good night. Not really good night, but that's my stance. Let's talk about some news going on around the league. Let's talk about some coaching changes and in the Pro Bowl format on why I, Joel Norris, do not like the Pro Bowl games that much. I didn't like covering it this year, but I did cover it last year. But we're not covering it this year, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's talk about everything. Let's talk about the news going on around the league before with the coaching hires. Okay. And this is news from yesterday. Matthew Stafford, Rams quarterback, is planning to play in the 2025 season. He did contemplate retiring, but it's looking like he is expected to and planning to return for the 2025 season. The question is, but where? That is the question. But where? Matthew Stafford most likely will play in 2025, which is great because I love me some Matthew Stafford. He is a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League, has been for the past 16 years. Where is he going? Where is he going? I mean, is he going to be with the Rams this season, or some news and some talk about trying to trade him during or post June 1st? And the Rams can save a little bit of money on the side. So where is he going to be? Where is he going to play, and what teams fit him? I think the Rams fit him the best, obviously. But if you want to look at some quarterbacks, some teams who are in need of some quarterbacks, and it wouldn't hurt them. The Raiders obviously would need a quarterback. I think Las Vegas, in that area, would need a quarterback. And we're going to talk about the Raiders here in a little bit, and who have they hired. The Raiders would need that, and the Raiders, I think, could be in play for that. You would think the Steelers would need a quarterback, right? Pittsburgh and the AFC North, Stafford going to the North would be a thing where you're like, oh, that would tighten up the division a little bit. The Steelers would be in need of a quarterback. If you look at the Steelers, if you look at the Raiders, the Jets, maybe. The Giants also can come into play, the two New York teams. Those two teams may need quarterbacks. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't return to the Jets, then Stafford to the Jets under Aaron Glenn could be likely. The Giants with Brian Dable could be likely as well. If you want to look at those teams needing a quarterback. The Titans are also looking for a quarterback as well. They're most likely going to draft because they are the team in the number one quarterback race right now. They are looking for something there. They could use a quarterback. There's a bunch of teams out there that could probably use a quarterback. I think they're looking to draft one, but they can be in the services of Stafford if they want to trade somebody and trade up to the Rams for somebody. Here's what I want to see. I want to see Stafford return to the Rams, in my opinion, only because I think the Rams fit him. I think McVay and his playing style fits him. He's got some good receivers with Cooper Kupp and Nakua, and I think they can make a run next year if they wanted to. So I think if Stafford was to return to go to the Rams with Nakua and Kupp and the talent that he's got around him with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum at running back, with Higbee at tight end, you have the weapons with you to do it and the coaching staff to do it. I kind of want to see what that looks like. But if the Rams want to trade him, those are the teams that could be in play and who need a quarterback. So what do you guys think? Let me guys know in the comments and on X, on Instagram, where do you think that Matthew Stafford should go and if he should stay with the Rams if need be? That's some news. That's the latest news on Matthew Stafford. Let's talk about the coaching hires and the coaching changes around the National Football League. Let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders first. The Raiders have found their man. The Raiders have hired Pete Carroll, former head coach of the Seahawks and at USC and everything, legendary head coach and Super Bowl winning head coach, Pete Carroll, as their next head coach. Pete Carroll is back in coaching. He is the Raiders head coach. And let me tell you, in my opinion, why to me this is a good hire. You're going to think, are you insane? He's in an AFC West with Sean Payton, with Andy Reid, probably the greatest coach of all time in Andy Reid with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Jim Harbaugh with the Los Angeles Chargers. Yes, he's in a tough division, probably the toughest division in the NFL. But let me tell you something. I think that Pete Carroll and what he has done with roster building is a pretty positive sign. Tom Brady believes in him, and if Mark Davis believes in him to build around, then that's really, really good. I think they can build around with Brock Bowers. They got some players. They got Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers at tight end. They got Jacoby Myers, Zamir Wright at running back. They got some talent on offense. They got Max Crosby at defensive end. They got some talent. They need more talent to build more depth on defense, and they are in desperate need of a quarterback to build around as well. So, yes, they need more talent. They don't have the best talent, but they got some key players that they can keep to build more talent around as well. They need a quarterback. I think Pete Carroll knows that. I think that's the situation that they're in. And I think that's the situation that they're in general. I mean, they are, they are closing in on likely retaining Patrick Graham as Pete Carroll's defensive coordinator to stay as defensive coordinator of the Raiders. So they just need talent on defense, depth on defense, and talent and a quarterback to build around. Now, are they going to draft a quarterback, or are they going to look in free agency? Russell Wilson is a free agent. There's been rumors and linked that Russell Wilson could go to the Las Vegas Raiders and start under him. Who knows? Maybe they're trying to build a Seahawks Legion of Boom 2.0 on defense and a 2012-13 Seahawks team 2.0 in Las Vegas with the Raiders under Pete Carroll. Who knows? That's what they could be building. But if Stafford is on the market, Matthew Stafford is the guy that I'm going after, hands down. If I have anybody that's in need of a quarterback, I'm trading for Matthew Stafford. He's 36 years old, doesn't matter. Man can ball. He can still ball. So I'm going with Matthew Stafford if he's on the market. But the Las Vegas Raiders have hired Pete Carroll. What do you guys think of the hire? I think it's a good move. It's a way better coach and coaching hire than Antonio Pierce, in my opinion. So that's my deal. Good hire there. I think that they're getting ready there, and they are ready to rock and roll there with Pete Carroll for the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's see how the Raiders do and fare during the 2025 offseason going into the 2025 season. Let's talk about the Jaguars and then the Cowboys and then the Bears and then the Saints and then a retiree, because we need to talk about that. Then the Pro Bowl format. Then we'll conclude our episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Let's talk about the Jaguars. The Jaguars have hired former Buccaneers offensive coordinator, now former Buccaneers offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, as their next head football coach of the team. Trevor Lawrence is excited. The talent on offense is excited. They have a lot of talent on offense with Trevor Lawrence, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, Brian Thomas Jr., Gabe Davis, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, you name it. They got a lot of talent on offense. They really got some pieces on offense that can make play calling with Liam Cohen work. They do. Play calling? Great. I think he's a great play caller. Defensively, they need a little bit more depth on defense, but I think they can build on that and add some more pieces there. Here is why I don't think this is a good, to me, I like the hire that much. And you're going to think you just hyped him up. No, it's not about the weird press conference and introductory press conference that happened. Look, trust me, I know I know the press conference. I know it's going to get memed, all that stuff. I know. I think, to me, it's not about how chill he is, all that stuff. It's not about the play calling. I think the play calling is great. Can he be a head coach? It's different than, because you can be a head coach and call the play, sure, but can you build roster on both sides of the ball and special teams, and can you manage a roster? Can you manage staff? Can you manage things? Can you develop and manage staff and team for an organization? Can you do that? Head coach, his duties is about all that, not just calling the plays. He's a great play caller. Does he have the leadership qualities to manage a staff, develop a roster, strategically build a roster with the organization? Does he have that in him to do that? I'm questioning that. I don't know. Now, you're going to think, give him a chance. This is his first go-round. Yeah, no one is going to know until they try, right? No one's going to know until they try. So give it a go. If you're the Jaguars, give it a go and hire Liam Cohen. I just do not know from what I've seen. Don't know and don't think he has that in him. I think this could be a short-term hire. I really do. I'm worried about this hire. This hire worries me for the Jaguars. That's my take on it. You're gonna think, dude, or you sound crazy. You sound negative. I'm not being negative. I'm being real. And I think you got to be real on situations like that. That's just my take on it. I don't think it's the best hire. In terms of in play calling, I do. In talent on offense, I think this is a good hire when it comes to play calling and in terms of talent on the offense. But I think if you're talking about managing and being a leader and strategically building, is he good enough right now to do that? I do not know. And I don't think right now he's developed that quite yet to be a head coach. But who am I? I hope that he makes me eat. I hope I eat my crow with it. I really do. I hope I eat my crow, and I hope I get it wrong. I really do. I hope the Jacksonville Jaguars succeed and they find something there. But right now, I'm not liking the hire. But that is the Jaguars and who they have hired at head coach. Let's talk about the Bears really quick, and let's talk about the Bears. The Bears have hired offensive coordinator under Ben Johnson, Broncos tight end coach Declan Doyle as their offensive coordinator. He is one of the youngest people in history to be an OC in the NFL. He is 28 years old. 28 years old. I'm 24. He's only 4 years older than me. A lot of people in 28 are playing on that team. So, yeah, he is one of the youngest on the team or in the position. But can he be a good play caller for the Bears organization and for this Bears offense that's loaded with talent? Maybe. Who knows? It wouldn't hurt to try. I'm not going to sit there and say yes or no. I mean, it's a questionable decision, I think. But what Ben Johnson can do is if there's anything wrong with the play calling, he can take over. Because Ben Johnson is a fantastic play caller. Learn under Ben Johnson and grow under Ben Johnson as an OC, and let's go from there, right? That's their guy for OC, and that's their guy for play calling. Let's see how it goes in the NFC. Now, here's who they have hired on the defensive side of things, and I really like this hire. The Bears have hired former Saints defensive coordinator and head coach Dennis Allen as their next defensive coordinator. I tremendously like this hire. I think the Bears defense is going to be solid. And they're going to be a team that you're going to have to watch out for in the NFL. He's not a good head coach, but let me go on and tell you something about Dennis Allen. That man is a great defensive coach. He can coach a defense. He is a great defensive coordinator. He has done really, really well with the Saints as a DC under Sean Payton. He has helped bring them a Super Bowl under Sean Payton when he was a co-DC and defensive backs coach and an assistant. He was really, really good at strategically building the defense and building defenses up. And I think that's what he can do in Chicago. He really can. So there's a lot to be excited about in Chicago right now. You got your head coach. You got a young hotshot OC that could be, something in the market one day. And you have an improving and veteran coordinator at DC. So the Bears are looking in tip-top shape at putting up a good staff. And now all you got to do is build on the offensive line. And once you do that and add some more depth to the team, the Bears are going to be a problem in the NFC. I think that is what I believe. Good hires all around for the Chicago Bears. Nothing but good to say about them. So that's my take on everything there. Let's talk about one thing, and then we will get to the Saints, or a couple of things before we get to the Saints, because I think the Saints is an interesting topic. The Cowboys have hired their head coach. They have hired, and I was thinking, is it going to be Kellen Moore? Is it going to be Deion Sanders, Coach Prime? Who knows? Those are the favorites, right? The Cowboys have hired and promoted their offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, as their next head coach. They have hired and promoted their offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, as their next head coach. You're going to sit there and think, really? That's a decent hire. Maybe it's a decent hire on offense because they got the talent on offense. But And I will say this, Brian Schottenheimer has made a good call on hiring for the defense because the Cowboys have hired Matt Eberflus, former Bears head coach and former Colts defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, as their next defensive coordinator. So Matt Eberflus is going to be the coach and the coordinator of the Cowboys defense. Perfect hire for the Cowboys defense. That defense is going to be salty because Matt Eberflus is a very good defensive coordinator. Just like Dennis Allen, he's a very good veteran defensive coordinator who knows how to strategically build defenses. The defense is going to be fine for the Cowboys. The offense, they got some talent on offense. Maybe they need some better depth at running back and tight end and O-line, but we'll see about that. They have hired head coach Brian Schottenheimer. Here's my deal. You're going to think you're hating on Schottenheimer. I'm not. It's the same thing I've said about the Cowboys for the longest time. I'm beating a drum at this point when I say it. Regardless who's the head coach, they're not really the head coach. Jerry Jones and ownership is. Nothing will change. The Cowboys are going to be the same. They're either A, going to make the playoffs and get knocked out, or B, I think that they are going to miss the playoffs just barely or just miss the playoffs. Nothing's going to change. I think they're going to be the same. And I hate that for them because I think the Dallas Cowboys have such a big market, have a big fan base around the world. They're America's team, right? A sold-out, packed-out stadium every weekend, every Thursday, Monday, or Sunday with AT&T Stadium. The market in Dallas is insane. It's insane. But now they have so much big money contracts that the market is so expensive for them that they have to budget players. They have to budget in free agency. They have to budget in the draft and carefully select draft classes and everything and to build their roster up. And it's hard because they don't have the money to do it because they have so many big-time contracts that are keeping them from executing their game plan and winning and going all in for a title. And it's horrible. It's horrible. It's mismanagement. And I do not think this team is going to be changing anytime soon. I've said that. They're going to remain the same. The Cowboys are going to remain the same, regardless of who's head coach, because they're not really the head coach. They're not. They are not going to make the decisions at the end of the day, and I hate that. I really do. You already know what I'm talking about on that sense. I've already talked about it. I'm beating the dead horse at this point. But, dude, poor Dallas Cowboys. That's just my take on it. Speaking of Cowboys, former defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer has left the position. Matt Eberflus is now the defensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer is now expected to retire from coaching right now, and he will not coach in 2025. He is expected to retire from coaching now. He was the former defensive coordinator for Dallas under two stints, 2000 through 2006, and now this past year in 2024, along with being a DA and defensive backs coach from 1994 to 1999. He was the defensive coordinator for the Falcons in 2007, defensive coordinator at the Bengals 2008 to 2013, and the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings from 2014 to 2021. Congratulations to Mike Zimmer on retiring. Well wishes. He's been a great coach. He's been doing really, really well in the NFL. Congratulations on a lengthy career as coach in the NFL. Happy retirement, and we wish you all the best in retirement, Mike Zimmer, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about two more things really quick before we conclude today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy, and we will get to, next Sunday and next weekend for a Super Bowl preview and prediction and all that. Let's talk about the Saints, and let's talk about the Pro Bowl format. The Saints. What's going on for the Saints and what's next? So there's been a lot of interviews and a lot of talk on the New Orleans Saints, and they're talking about who's going to be their next head coach. That's the last team remaining for their head coaching spot. My take on it, and you're going to think, okay, is the Saints a real valuable job? I think it's a good job because of the market and the city. But something's going on. I think there could be a deeper rooted cause. Because Mike McCarthy was favored to be in the head coaching running, and he has withdrawn his name for the race, and Mike McCarthy, will not coach in the 2025 season and will wait for the 2026 coaching cycle and season to see if he can land an NFL head coaching job in 2026. So sort of doing what Bill Belichick did. He withdrew on his name. So a lot of things were like, okay, and outlets were saying, okay, is he reporting? Is he not in the running for the job? Was he not going to get the head coaching job? Which I thought he was one of the favorites, surprisingly. Was he not going to get the job? Or was it a scenario of, okay, they're just not much on him. Like, he wasn't going to get the job. They're not much on him. Or is there a deeper rooted cause? Then Cliff Kingsbury withdrew his name from the job. Joe Brady withdrew his name from the job. People are withdrawing their name from the job. Aaron Glenn withdrew his name from the job and went to the New York Jets. They're withdrawing their name from the job. So I'm trying to figure out, is it ownership? Is it management? What's going on with the New Orleans Saints? Right now, the current betting on favorites is that Eagles offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, who's getting a lot of interviews and a lot of love. Kellen Moore could be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. We don't know that. I'm not saying that's a for sure thing. And he could be. I think it's an amazing hire if they do. Kellen Moore, a young upstart head coach, he could do something. I think he's got a more proven track record than Liam Cohen as head coach, in my opinion, to be a head coach. Now, you're thinking, dude, why are you saying that? Liam Cohen's a good play caller, and you're saying the same thing. It's the same thing as Liam Cohen and Kellen Moore. Not really, in a way, because I think Kellen Moore has proven more leadership qualities, especially as the quarterback for Boise State back in the day, to be a head coach. He's proved more head coach qualities than Liam Cohen has, and it shows. And I think that Kellen Moore could be a good hire for the Saints, but we will see. We will see. It most likely will be Kellen Moore, but after the Super Bowl, right? They're going to announce it after the Super Bowl, most likely. But here's the deal. What's going on with the Saints job? Why are people withdrawing their names? Why is it that it's taking them a bit of a good time to get a head coach and land a head coach? Are they just picky about it? I don't know. But it makes me curious on if the Saints is a good job and an actual high-profile job than most people say it is. I'm not saying it's not or it is. I'm not saying that. But it makes me question, is it a really good, high-profile job? So let me guys know what you think in the comments on X, on Instagram. I'll post this reel, and I'll post the reel. Hopefully it gets clipped into a reel, but let me guys know what you think on X, Instagram, and on all platforms, and on the comments on YouTube. Is the Saints job a actual high-profile job? And are people blowing up this to be a high-profile job than what most people think that it is? So that's my thing on the Saints. Let's conclude today's episode on the Pro Bowl format and what I think about the Pro Bowl format before we conclude today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Why, Joel Norris, are you not covering the Pro Bowl games? I covered them last year, and I just thought, it was just kind of like something that it's fun, but it's not interesting to me. It's not. I miss the old school Pro Bowl format. I am all for 100% the old school Pro Bowl format. I'll tell you why. Because it had NFC versus AFC. It had an actual football game, like a bowl game, like a bowl game, NFL-style bowl game, like college football has bowl games. It's like that, but with the NFC conference and the AFC conference. You get the best of the AFC, the best of the NFC, and you go out and play each other. I think that participants in the Super Bowl should not play in the Pro Bowl format. Some Super Bowl participants did. I disagree with that. I think all Super Bowl participants who are in the Super Bowl are pulling out of the Pro Bowl games to just focus on the Super Bowl, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. You should do that and not play in the Pro Bowl games or in the game itself. There's flag football, which is fun, all that. If you want to do a game, like a flag football type game, you can do that, but leave it at that. I don't think we need competitions. I don't think we need skill sets, all that stuff. I think we need to either do one format where it's a flag football game, and if you want Peyton and Eli as head coaches, you can do that, or a fourth quarter 12 to 15 minute quarter football game like it was in the past, and have Peyton and Eli or somebody else be coaches and have it be NFC versus AFC. I think that's the best way to put it. I don't like the skill competitions. I don't think it's very entertaining that way. I think I think tradition is better, and I think that the old school Pro Bowl format is the best for the NFL. That's just my take. I don't really like covering all of it. If you want me to give a prediction, I'll say the AFC wins the Pro Bowl games, okay? I'll just say the AFC wins the Pro Bowl games, but I like the old school format better, and I wish that they would bring it back. So whoever has any takes on that, leave it in the comments on X, on Instagram. Keep on plugging into Pigskin Frenzy on all platforms. Guys, we are out of time. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, Apple, Amazon, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Make sure to check up the all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday. 4,500 listeners coming up and counting, and I appreciate everybody taking your time to listen on, Pigskin Frenzy every Tuesday and Thursday. 2 weeks, we're going to have a big announcement that's going to that's going to translate and, transform Pigskin Frenzy for the near future. Pigskin Frenzy is going to be alive and well, so do not worry about Pigskin Frenzy in this podcast and this show. Do not worry about it. It's exciting times. Bittersweet, but also exciting times. So do not worry about that. And we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks on February 13th as we near closer in about a few weeks to the 200th episode of Pigskin Frenzy. 200 episodes of Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, cannot be more thankful in what God has in store, what God has done. God has given us this platform to do Pigskin Frenzy on, and I'm so thankful, and all praise be to him for him. Jesus is so, so good, and I would love for you guys to get to know him, and we can have that talk about, getting to know Jesus and, being a son and, being a son and daughter of Jesus and, just living a life for Christ that is fulfilling to you and for Jesus in the end. So love Jesus. Thank you for the platform that he has given us. And I'm so thankful for this show that he has blessed us with. Guys, we will be back Tuesday for a recruiting episode of Pigskin Frenzy for college football. Recruiting Wednesday, National Signing Day. And we're going to finish off the class of 2025 is coming up this Wednesday on February 5th, and it is so exciting. February 4th will be the kicker there, and this coming up Tuesday, we will preview and predict some of the key players that are signing with where and the recruiting classes there and how they are stacking up before National Signing Day. So we're going to talk about that. It's a recruiting episode. You're not going to want to miss that. This coming up Tuesday, and then next Thursday, the big one, we're going to preview and predict the Super Bowl, recap each team's season, Eagles and Chiefs seasons, and see how they got there, and preview and predict Super Bowl 59. And until Tuesday, I'm Joel Norris signing off. We will see you Tuesday for a college ball edition of Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, thank you so much for everything. We're praying for you all. As always, stay the course.